Hello, good evening, friends. Sorry to tell you that I have decided actually that to continue lecture at between 1 to 2 p.m., but it was not possible because of a heavy OPD today. But I don't want to miss a day, and that's why today in the evening I'm discussing one of the rubric with you. In last lecture, we have discussed regarding the one rubric, single remedy rubric from the opium, that is timidity transacting his business when, or timidity business in transacting. There were some reply that it was not there in Kent's repertory or it was not there in certain repertories. It is a rubric which is there in the synthesis, it is there in the synthetic repertory by Barthel, or even in the complete repertory you can get that rubric. Today, I want to share something else, another rubric in this series. And basically, when you learn the rubric or when you have to prescribe for the rubric, specifically for a single remedy rubric, you have to understand the whole state, and it should be observable to you. So you should be able to perceive it very easily from the patient, and that's why it is too important to look towards the patient, observe the patient, and perceive with your own mind. One day, the patient was there in front of me early in the morning. I started just open my clinic, and he entered immediately back to back me, and he was sitting in front of me in a very excited and frightful mood. His whole face of showing full of fear. It was very typical, very typical frightful face. I asked, what has happened, Mr. So and so? And he talked in simple words. Doctor, I want to tell you something. Today morning, I went to past the stools. I was there in toilet, and I saw a living creature in my stool. I was tremendously frightened thereafter. Living? How can it be in my from my bowels? Living creature. Person who was not knowing that this is what is called as a worms, unaware about the things, and he was there in front of you in a frightened state, and frightened to the limit, more than a limit. So he has seen just a simple thing over there. He has seen over there a worm, but to that worm, his reaction, his posture to that situation was tremendous, very high. It is going beyond limit. It has passed the limit. That state with which he came, he entered. So generally what happens when we think that patient is having the worms, we used to prescribe only the directly acina. But here patient is not giving you a state directly. He is not telling you that he comes for the treatment of a worms in a plain word. He is expressing his nature through that state. And that state you have to catch. Here the rubric is very clear. The rubric from the same remedy which we have learned in yesterday's lecture. That is the opium. It is the pure extravagance of a single remedy rubric of opium. Pure extravagance. It is extravagant state going beyond limit. When you consider it in Marathi, extravagance is nothing but avastav, more than what is there. अवास्तव केलेली कृती, अवास्तव बोललेली गोष्ट. It is more than a limit. It passes a certain limit. This is fear extravagance. But one must know that there should be a fear on the countenance of the patient. Patient's face should show the fear. You can observe the eyes of the patient which are looked like in a state of fear. It is not simple words which will guide you towards the right remedy, but here you have to find it out exactly the state and that which you have to perceive from the patient. Sometimes it is there are simple versions which are mentioned over there, but what happens? The people never understand them properly. Sometimes patient comes to you for treatment. They ask you how much time they should take the treatment. They have some pathological problem, and you start the treatment. And after completing that much, of course, they are not getting better. And if they put in a simple word, doctor, how much time I will require? It is not a fear which is expressing. You have told me that it will require 6 months. Now 1 year have been passed and I'm not getting the result. They are arguing with you. It is not a fear. So it is not like that. It is the fear should be there on the face of the patient. Doctor, you told me 6 months. Now 1 year have been passed. Whether I have to go for any examination? Is there any problem? Is there anything inside me? You must, if you need, you must go for, you must ask me for investigation. But I am very fearful regarding the thing. So the thing was little thing that he is having problems since long time, but it is not so dangerous. But still, he is showing the reaction to it in a very exaggerated manner. That exaggerated fear, which is expressing on the countenance of the patient, or which is expressing through this his eyes, his acts, his body posture, that you have to look for. And that's why this fear extravagance of is a rubric for such types of patients. Another example I will tell you with one case, that this is common example which are being utilized by number of people. They comes to you for certain simple elements. The patient comes to you with, doctor, I'm having a, hair fall. Today I have measured that there are nearly about 200 hairs were there, and I'm really frightened. I come to you because I feel that within 8 days I will be bald. Patient is making it big. The things he is making it tremendously big, exaggerated manner. He's expressing it in an exaggerated manner. The fear is there, and that fear is exaggerated fear, expecting that it is going beyond control. Patient comes to you, doctor, I'm having acidity. There was one patient nearby my home, and he found to be a cancer. Whether I might have a cancer? The face is expressing that there is a fear in his mind, and which is he is simple having the just an acid peptic trouble, he's thinking of a cancer. So you have to understand all those things in a proper manner. That state is the opium state, the fear extravagance. So when you are thinking about the any specific rubric, single remedy rubric, whole patient is expressing that rubric. Then you have to consider that rubric for your prescription. Otherwise, you don't. So it is not simple versions of the patient. It is the expression of the patient shows the whole rubric. So gestures, then the fear which should be there, then he should be talking in that specific sense. Then you can catch those, and that state is called as an opium state. So we have learned two rubrics up till now from the opium. The first rubric, that timidity business in transacting, and second, today we have discussed about the fear extravagance of both of the rubrics having single remedy of opium. But catch those states in your opd, so that whatever may be the patient's complaint, you give that remedy and you find it out the results very early in such types of states. But whenever you are prescribing on a state, always keep it in your mind. It should whole state should show a single remedy rubric. It is not that then other rubrics automatically gets joined with that main rubric. But that rubric should define the whole state, and that is what is Hahnemann said in the definition. in of the homeopathy. A drug capable of producing in a healthy individual a disease state exactly similar to that happens in a diseased individual acts as a curative agent if the disease is in a curable state. And this is what Hahnemann's consideration is there, because the state defines the human being and we have to prescribe for the human being. So that's all for today. We'll meet tomorrow again whenever time permits. Please ask your friends, your colleagues to join our this rubric understanding session, and we'll discuss one by one different remedies, different rubrics, and you will understand it. Thank you being there, Vaishnavi, Harshal, then Dr. Chandrakant, Dr. Rajendra, Dr. Shantanu. So thank you, and we'll meet again.